Hey everyone, Shane Malika with Phyxius Power Building here, and today we are going to be continuing our exercise journey a little bit as we go over legs. All right, so yes, it's the dreaded leg day. No one likes it. Well, there are some sick individuals out there who like it, and I've kind of turned into one of those sick individuals over the course of my healthcare journey and everything. So today we're going to be going over the anatomy of the lower extremity, along with some basic exercises you can do with dumbbells. All right. You don't necessarily need to have barbells and all the high weights. Now, if you are planning on doing the powerlifting competitions, or if you're going to be doing bodybuilding shows, prepping for that, you probably do need something more than just dumbbells. However, if you are an individual like myself who's just looking to be that top 20%, not top 5%, dumbbells will suffice to get you some size, some strength, and give you a really good workout as well. So just to give you a history with my day journey throughout my 28 years of working out, I'll definitely be honest, that first 10 to 14 years, I would have to say there was no leg day. There was always a thought, I'm going to have a leg day. I'm going to have a leg day. It's on Friday. And I skipped it inevitably. Very rare did I ever do legs for that first 10 to 14 years. And then after that, I realized, you know what, just from functional purposes, sport related purposes, aesthetic reasons as well, I really need to buckle down and get to these legs already, considering they are half of your body mass and they are needed for pretty much everything we do in our daily routines, whether it's just activities of daily living or sport related activities. We need our legs, all right? We need them to be functioning well. So, I did start incorporating leg day, and one of the first things I did was move my leg day from Friday to Monday, and that's a tip for all of you as well. For leg day, if it's not really a muscle group that you enjoy doing, put it early in the week, all right? Whether it's legs or chest or whatever, put it early in the week. I do my legs on Monday because I'm most motivated to get it done, and it's done for the week. Versus Thursday, Friday, I typically put muscle groups I enjoy working a little bit more, so biceps, triceps, shoulders, abs, things like that. And what I found out too with legs was, usually when I first started, it was just three basic exercises. And I also incorporated some other muscle groups I still liked to work on. So that would motivate me to get me to the gym to do the legs. But then once I started learning more about the lower extremity, all the different muscles involved with the anterior, the posterior aspect of the thigh, and then the lower leg as well, I found that I was not just, I started upping my exercises from 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 to 7 different exercises. And then you have 4 sets and then you have all these reps. I found out leg day needs to be truly that leg day just in and of itself. Now, I'm not going to say it's fun, all right, because working out legs is a lot of discomfort. You will definitely feel it. There is that burning, that aching, your heart gets pumping and racing. If you work yourself really hard, you kind of almost feel a little sick to your stomach at times. That's normal. It's okay. You will not die if you get that soreness, that burning, that aching in the legs, the heart's racing, you're breathing heavy. If you feel a little upset stomach, that's perfectly fine. You will not die. Push through it. All right. It gets easier. Legs, just like any other muscle group, all about intensity. All right. So to get them stronger, to get them to grow, depending on what your goals are and everything, you have to push to failure, even with legs. And sometimes that can be scary. Luckily today with dumbbells, it's not as scary because you don't have a big, heavy barbell on your back with possibly hundreds of pounds or anything like that. You have dumbbells that you can control. You can dump the weight very easily in those cases. But let's start off with getting to the anatomy real quick here. Guys, there we go. All right, so here's the front part, the anterior part of your thigh. So I know when people talk about the legs, one of the big muscle groups they talk about are the quads. All right, so you can see, I'm not going to go through all these muscle groups, but when we talk about the quads, we are talking about the rectus femoris, the vastus lateralis, the vastus medialis, and you don't see it here, but there is another muscle called the vastus intermedialis. I want you to keep some things in mind. All of these muscles, let's simplify this, all of these muscles of the thigh, all right, they all have origins somewhere in the pelvic region, all right, different areas, but somewhere in the pelvic region. And all of their insertions are either on the thigh itself, on the femur itself, or they continue and they form up into that patellar tendon and attach below the knee joint. So all of these muscles, depending on what we're talking about, are either going to be primarily hip flexors, all right, or knee extensors, or both. all right? So that's why we can do certain exercises and work multiple muscle groups at once. Now, I get it. If you are prepping for bodybuilding shows or you want a certain aesthetic, or if you're trying to isolate a muscle group for rehab purposes, you may want to turn your toes in, out, because how you rotate your femur, all right, will put extra emphasis on certain muscle groups. However, if you just keep neutral stance, you're going to be working all of the muscle groups in a very functional pattern and in a way that is going to benefit you. Don't forget about the posterior aspect of the thigh, all right? So if you're looking at the back of the your upper leg right now, you always hear about those hamstrings, right? Well, remember, the hamstrings are actually not just one muscle, it's a group of muscles. Your bicep femoris, yep, there's a bicep in your lower leg too, but the bicep femoris, all right, so down by the femur, semimembranosus and semitendinosus. They all, again, we're all talking about muscles that have a similar origin up in the pelvis and have different types of insertions below the knee joint itself, but they are primarily for hip extension and knee flexion as well, all right? I want to point out that muscle near the top that you're seeing here, that gluteus maximus, all right? Well, guess what? If there's a gluteus maximus, guess what there also is? Medius and minimus too. So that we have a glute max, glute med, and glute min. The thing is, most of their muscle fibers are in the same plane or same orientation, so they have similar actions. But the glute max is the largest muscle in the human body. All right, so it has great responsibility for balance, stabilization, hip extension. So we want to make sure that the exercises we're doing are incorporating this muscle group, because if it's the largest muscle in your body, there's a reason for that. It has a lot of work to do. And if it's not doing its job, some of these other muscle groups that you're seeing here take over, and that's where you get strains and different types of muscular strains and other abnormalities, other joint aches and pain. We also don't want to forget about the lower leg. So this is kind of knee and below now with the lower leg. You're seeing pictures of the anterior portion of the lower leg on your left and the right. You'll see the posterior aspect. Now, it's usually with bodybuilding, powerlifting, working out. Usually people get really focused or fixated on that posterior part, so the calf muscles, all right? And I think that's what we're going to, for our workout today, that's what we're going to be concentrating on as well. So with the calf, it's actually made up of two different types of muscles. You have your gastrocnemius, which you see here in the picture, but if I were to rip that away and look below it, you would actually see another set of muscles called your soleus. So the gastroc and soleus, their primary action is to create what's called plantar flexion, which is if you were to stand on your tippy toes, so raising your heels up or pointing your toes down, that is what these muscles primarily do. The biggest difference between them is where they start. The gastrocnemius starts above the knee joint, the soleus below the knee joint. So depending on what position you put your knee in is going to determine which muscle or muscles you're going to be emphasizing. But the thing is, again, similar to other things we've talked about, the fact that you're doing plantar flexion, all right, or raising your heels, so doing heel raises, things like that, you're going to work both muscle groups, all right? But if you have your knee bent, you're still going to work the gastroc, but you're going to be putting more emphasis on the soleus because the gastroc is in a relaxed position. And if you're standing or have the knee straight, you're still going to work the soleus, but you're going to be putting more emphasis on the gastroc because it's in a lengthened position. So let's stop with all this boring stuff and let's get to some basic exercises you're going to do. The way I'm going to do this today, everybody, a little different than in the past. Usually I just show you 3 exercises, go for it. Get to it, get working, get that intensity going, that time under tension. Today I'm going to show you quite a few different exercises, and I'm going to let you know what, based on what feels good to you, pick one of these, pick one of this group, but do these. Because I know when it comes to the lower extremity, whether a lot of people out there, they have some back problems, hip problems, knee problems, ankle problems. And what I don't want to cause is a lot of joint pain, all right? That sharp pain, we want to avoid that as much as possible. Discomfort is one thing. Discomfort in the muscles is good. Pain in the joints is not, and that's what we want to avoid. So listen to your body as you go through these. If something's causing joint pain, try a different exercise, something that'll work better for you, or modify it a little, right? So I'm going to change things here with the camera angle just slightly. So you're seeing my dungeon of a basement again. All right, we're going to start off with the king daddy of the lower extremity exercises, squats. And yes, you can do these with dumbbells. Now, obviously with a barbell, you can put a lot more weight, but guess what? With dumbbells, you can get a great workout as well. All right. And you can also, I think there's also a little bit more, freedom with your form, if you will. All right. So people who do have knee, hip, back issues, sometimes there's things you can do with dumbbells you can't do with barbells. So I'm going to show you a couple different ways to do squats with dumbbells. All right. So the first way of doing it, I just got these dumbbells here, is I'm going to clean them up to my shoulders. So just and set the dumbbells on my shoulders themselves. Now, to do any type of squat, we want to keep our low back relatively straight. All right. We don't want to round it too much or get any decrease in that lumbar lordosis. So all I'm going to do from here is act like I'm trying to sit in the chair. So I'm going to stick my butt back, keep my low back straight, and then up. Now, you will hear a lot of people in powerlifting, bodybuilding, they'll say you need to go ATG, ass to grass, butt all the way down. The thing is, if it doesn't work for you, if you end up rounding your back when you get to a certain point, you're going to be putting yourself into a vulnerable position for injury. So don't go that far, right? So when you feel some of that tension in your low back or your low back starting around, come back up. The reason why I like these squats is because it helps me keep my chest up and keep myself in better position, because if I know if I lean forward too much, these dumbbells are going to flip right off. All right. So if I get my chest too far forward and around my low back, these dumbbells are going to fall off. So the fact that they're up on my shoulders helps to keep me in a better position as I'm doing the squats. All right. Another way of doing squats could be also with the dumbbells exercise. All right, and the motion is pretty much the same. You'll want to keep your chest up. I tell people, find a spot a little higher up and look at it and keep your head in that position. As you go down, you stick your butt back, because wherever your head goes, the rest of your body is going to go. If you look down, you're going to start to round over. If you're looking up, you're more apt to keep that chest up and that butt back as you go. Again, go with what your body tells you. All right. This is as far as I can go. I cannot do an ATG anymore. Those days are long gone for me. But again, I'm not doing power building or powerlifting competitions anymore, so I don't have to go to a certain depth or anything. I'm also not doing bodybuilding competitions. I'm looking for just general strength and size in my legs. And that does not mean I need to go with my butt all the way down. All right. So even doing that type of range, like I said, where I have about 90 degrees at my knees is definitely sufficient for that exercise. All right. So with the squats, pick one of those versions, whether it's the dumbbells up or the dumbbells down, whatever feels best to you to do the exercise. All right. What I've also told people do with squats too, whether it's the dumbbells at your sides or in front, sometimes it's good to put the bench behind you. And when you do the squat, go until you feel your butt touch. All right. Some people call these box squats. Some people sit all the way down, stop, and then go. Whatever you feel is best. But sometimes in order for me to make sure I get a consistent depth, I do go until my hindquarters touches the bench. So that's, again, choose one of those types of squats, and that should be sufficient for you. Moving on, it's also a good idea to be doing some type of exercise to isolate the quadriceps, isolate the glutes. The lunges are probably one of the best exercises to do this, all right? And these are the exercises no one likes to do because guess what? They hurt, not necessarily joints, but muscles. The way I like to do lunges, I know some people like to do stepping lunges where they actually start from a standing position and step forward. I actually like to get into the lunge position myself. All right, get my staggered stance, all right, with my dumbbells at my sides. And then from there, what I think of doing is just dropping my body straight down or my butt straight down, a vertical plane, and then back up. I found that when I do it this way, I feel a lot in my glutes and quite a bit in my quads as well. All right. I don't get the same feel when I do the stepping lunges, and that may be more user error than anything, but I found that this simple motion is very beneficial for me, and I get that good mind-muscle connection with it. And then, of course, you can switch, have that same motion up and down, all right? Just make sure that front knee, that it's not wobbling all over the place, that it's going straight forward over your toes. That helps to keep the knee from having any significant type of injury to it. That's one type of lunge to do, and if you've never done lunges before, that's the way I would recommend to start off with. If you're a little bit more advanced and you're thinking, you know what, those are great, is there another option for me? There are Bulgarian lunges that you could try as well. And these are a little bit more advanced, a little bit tougher. It's a similar idea, but the only difference is you use your bench to place one foot on, and then from there, doing your lunge, all right? Obviously, there is now much more of my body weight coming out over my stationary leg here. Again, you can see how my upper body is pretty straight as I go up and down, and I'm not bouncing. I'm keeping a nice controlled motion down and up. So these are great ones to be doing as well. If you're a little bit more advanced, you want to try something different, keep the weight a little lighter when you start, work your way up, all right? So again, pick one of those variations for lunges, whether it's the first one I showed you with both feet on the ground, or the Bulgarian lunges with one foot up on a bench, all right? If lunges are not your thing, if you're like, hold it, I just do not like them, they hurt my hips or my knee, another option you could try are step-ups, all right? And again, you're gonna see me go out of the shot, I'm sorry. I don't have a production crew like some are people out there, all right? But using your bench, pretty simple. What I like to do myself is having one foot up on the bench. From here, just standing up. And all I do is lightly touch my other foot to the bench just for balance, then back down. So it's up, lightly touch, back down. And with this, I still want to make sure my knee is not wobbling in and out, that it's straight over my toes at the same time. And then, of course, after a certain number of reps, I can switch legs, do the same thing, up and down. So again, depending on what works best for you, your body, choose one of those types of isolation exercises, all right? Whether it's one type of the lunges or the step-ups, pick something so that you isolate one leg over the other, all right? Helps to make sure that you decrease any imbalances that you may have. Whew, sorry about that. When you're talking and doing this, even with lighter weight, you do get a little winded. One of the last exercises I want to show you, we got two more to do. One to try for the hamstrings that you can do with your dumbbells, all right? Because again, you can see I don't have equipment down here other than dumbbells and resistance bands. But one thing that you can utilize dumbbells in order to work your hamstrings, so you don't need a hamstring curl type machine. You can use your dumbbells and do what are called Romanian deadlifts, all right? Sometimes it could be a little bit of a balance exercise too, but using one dumbbell and put the dumbbell on the side that you're gonna be working. So in this case, I'm gonna be working my right leg. I have the dumbbell on my right side. From here, what I'm gonna be doing is basically kind of hip hinging, all right? Doing a little pivot at my hip as I go down. So I'm gonna be hip hinging, bending the knee slightly until I feel a stretch in my hamstrings and my glutes. And then I'm gonna come back up. You can see my back leg does go back. If I need to touch it balance, I can. And then I come back up. And all I'm doing is going down. You can see I'm wobbly here. Good for balance, good for hip stabilization. You're also gonna feel it in your hamstrings as well. All right, again, nice and controlled when doing those, all right? Don't go fast because that's a recipe for a hip strain or pulling those hip muscles, all right? Last things to consider, calf muscles, all right? Remember, we got two major groups of the calf. We got the gastroc and the soleus. And the exercises are not fun and sexy. It's basically heel raises. So coming up onto your tippy toes, all right? To make things a little bit harder, you can use dumbbells and your bench. I bring my bench up a little bit. And it's a little hard to see, but I'm actually using part of my bench so I can get a little bit of space here. So I'm putting the balls of my feet on my bench, and then my bench, I'm going to take my foot off. I'm going to do single leg heel raises. Got the dumbbell on the same side I'm working. Now I'm just simply going to do full heel raise up as high as I can and back down. If you want, you can take your other foot and touch it to the back of your leg just for proprioceptive input for balance purposes. I am not pushing with this with my other hand. This is just for balance only. Up and down. You can see nice and controlled. I'm not bouncing. I'm not trying to throw my weight up. Nice and controlled throughout. Of course, I could do these double-legged as well. Probably not there because for balance reasons. But even if I don't have anything, I could just have the dumbbells and just simply go up onto my tippy toes and back down. And that works as well. All right, so use what you have available. Something's always better than nothing. All right, if you'd like to do single leg, but you can't for whatever reason, do double leg. I could even do single leg here as long as I have something for balance. Up onto my tippy toes and back down. That works as well. I also like to get the soleus a little bit too. So what I will actually do is after I get done immediately doing a set of the single leg heel raises, instead of giving myself a rest, I'll sit down, put the dumbbells on my knees, and then do about 50 heel raises in a sitting position. Because remember what I said before? The gastroc attaches above the knee joint, the soleus below the knee joint. So in this position, the gastroc is in a resting position because it's not being put in, in its full range. So it's relying a little bit more on the soleus to do this particular exercise. And then once I get done with 50 with these, I go right back to the standing heel raises. So I emphasize a little bit more of the gastroc. So I kind of go back and forth, never stopping, never resting. And by the time I get to that fourth set, when I'm walking out of this basement, I look like I'm a baby giraffe. All right, it's pretty unsexy, if you will. But it definitely gets the job done. All right. Let me move forward here just a little bit. All right, so I know this video was a little longer because we're doing things a little differently with the anatomy. There's a lot more with the lower extremities, but there's also a lot of different exercises to choose. And this is definitely not all encompassing what we went with today. So choose what works for you. If you don't like any of the options, guess what? Google it. There's a lot of different great lower extremity exercises you could do with dumbbells as well that may work for you. All right. Remember, the whole idea is putting that muscle under tension and taking it to failure, working with getting that exercise intensity where you need it. That's the idea. Whether you're doing these exercises or something different, resistance is resistance. And it's going to help you as long as you stay within your rep ranges and as long as you are, again, exercising that muscle to failure. So hopefully this helped you all and everything. And if you do like this video, again, click that like button, click subscribe. I think I have one subscriber. It's probably my mom at this point, but I enjoy doing these videos. I enjoy talking, even if it's just to myself. So you all take care and everything. Hope you all had a happy holiday. Keep on tuning in every single week for new videos. And remember, struggle is strength. All right. So you got to get that struggle on to get that strength. Talk to you later.